this edition of Caribbean House Talk. On Caribbean House Talk, of course, we always bring you the issues from funny to curious and even tearfully serious. We have a lot of good things coming up for you today on Caribbean House Talk. We have some tricks and tips about household items that are medicinal or helpful in different areas. We have a discussion on bankruptcy. We have a spicy dish segment, and so we are hoping that we would really be able to keep you with us for the rest of this episode. Now, we always start out with our spicy dish, and after our spicy dish, we come back with their help team, and then we're going to introduce the tricks and tips section. We're also going to have with us later on Chef Chester. He is a local chef here in the Long Island area who is known for his artistic and delicious cuisine. So we're going to have him here feeding us later. All right?
I'm hungry.
You're hungry already, right? He really put some good meals together. So he's going to surprise us. And we don't know what he's going to bring us, but he's going to be feeding us later today. All right, we're going to actually have this is going to be a long episode, which is going to be part 1 and part 2, because this is our last episode for season 2. All right? And in the last segment, we're going to reminisce about some of the things that we have done on Caribbean House Talk from the time we started season 1, and then we just finished season 2. We're finishing season 2, so we're going to reminisce on that a little bit. So, as usual, ladies, welcome to Caribbean House Talk.
Thank you.
Are you ready to roll?
Yeah, I love the idea that we're
Outdoors
outside
today, right?
Yeah, something different. We get to enjoy the beautiful weather.
Yes. I think it was, we wanted to do something different. We wanted to be outdoors and kind of suck in the sunlight and, kind of do something more natural. Okay. So we're going to start off with spicy dish. Caroline, we're going to do the honors.
How do we avoid raising our children with gender stereotypes?
Okay, gender stereotypes. Okay. So in other words, we have children, and most of us, if we're a certain generation, we know that our mothers and fathers raised us to say the girls are not allowed to do this, the boys, it's okay, etc. Or the girls can't go certain places, the boys can, and things like that. And to some extent, you could understand why that may be in the sense of safety. Girls have always been a little bit more vulnerable, so father, mother, I'm trying to be careful. But sometimes that could create a kind of inequity in terms of not only the type of jobs or what we get paid, or put us at a disadvantage when we accept certain things as a norm. So that's what we're talking about. So I know for me, my brothers could go wherever. They could stay out, come in next morning if possible. And not maybe next morning, but they could come in 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. My mother wouldn't make a big deal. But we young ladies, if we went out, she would literally lock the doors. And we had to go tap on the window and get our little siblings to open the door to let us in. And then when we got up next morning, we had to keep running for our lives because she was going to, and we got home say 10, 11 o'clock at the latest, But it was clearly a difference in how we were treated and how my brothers were treated. What about you?
Yeah, I had that same kind of experience. I had to be chaperone pretty much if I went to a party, and we're talking, maybe teenager, but the parties didn't last long. And so at one point it was supposed to be my older brother, who was 2 years older, but then he kind of thought I was a kid. And so my parents would send me with my younger brother, 3 years. I mean, imagine if you just go into a house party and it's not that late, and maybe I'm 14 and I got to drag along an 11-year-old. You know what I mean? Who's still a kid mentally, totally different level. I think it was so unfair. I tried to do differently with my daughters. You want to keep them safe, but there were other ways I think that safety could have been done.
Right.
But we also had the issue with in the household, where my dad really thought that certain jobs were women's work and certain things were for men. My sister and I, we had to wash the dishes. We had to, wash the dishes, meaning clean the entire kitchen. That's what wash the dishes meant. I had to clarify because nowadays a lot of the younger people think wash the dishes, you just wash the dishes. My household, wash the dishes means you clean the stove, you clean the floor, you are everything. Everything is part of washing the dishes.
Okay.
You know, and that
You
was
have to
that was a
take care of
woman's
a house.
right,
Basically what that is.
exactly. And so the house, that was the man's job. To his credit, at least the I mean the woman's job, but the man's job, all a man had to do really for in my house, my brothers, was you put out the garbage. That was their main job. Sometimes it heavily mopping floors, but that was it. You know, so those were kind of things that I just thought were unfair. I was telling a story earlier off camera to them how even when it came to just being outside, hanging on my steps with my friends at our house, I had to be on that stoop by dawn, as soon as the sun went down. And like in the fall and the winter, we're talking 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And this went on even until I went to college, you know? And so I had to be there. My brothers could hang out and do whatever they wanted to do, but I had to be there before dark. So those were just some of the things I thought was so unfair. I went to college, I came back and I was like, I'm grown. I don't have to be in late. I learned my lesson from
Yes.
that too, because you can't talk back. But yeah, it went on even through college. It was terrible.
Oh wow. So Amalfi, was it any different for you?
Not for me. My mother has always been very fair and very balanced. I don't know where she got it from because she was raised in. She started cooking when she was 8 years old, so she knows that was her role as part of the family, and she was one of 12, so she did have probably the gender differences, the male and female, but with us, my mother has always been very balanced.
You've been
and
fortunate.
very fortunate.
Very fortunate.
Yes.
Miss Harrison?
Well, it was a little different for me because there were 6 boys in the house, and I was the oldest girl, so yes, I had to be chaperoned. But my mother brought the boys right in the kitchen. They had to do the same things I did. They had to do the same thing. So in that respect, it was, and growing up in the Caribbean, it's just a little bit different than here.
Honestly, I grew up in the Caribbean, and I think it's just like Amalfi was saying, she was in the Caribbean too, and it seemed like you both had a similar experience. Your Caribbean parent, born and raised here. I grew up in the Caribbean, and I'm telling you, it's totally two-sided. Now, one day my mom, she was really strict with my brothers in terms of they were not allowed to bring girls and spend the night any more than we were. So there's some things that she was very even with. And she did teach the boys to cook, and he's the older one. And I think she did that only because he was the oldest and she needed help.
Okay.
But in terms of what we can do and what they can do, it was a total difference. Total difference.
And I don't think it should be like that. Yes or no when it comes to gender roles. I kind of like the idea of sharing with my significant other my role, let's say, to be in the kitchen and cook, and him to do something with the house or fix something. I don't think that it should be eliminated 100%. It helps sometimes. I think we give each other, because I feel that a man most of the time is a provider. They provide the money or
Malfi, that might have
That's a
been in your
gender
Mother's
thing.
Day.
Yeah,
That might have been in your
yeah.
Mother's Day. A lot of them are
Exactly.
looking for us to help them, if anything. We're in the
no, but
main role.
that's what. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a balanced relationship. I'm not saying that.
Oh,
I'm
right,
going,
right.
That's what I'm hoping for. That I will provide the food, and this person will provide the money of fixing around the house or do his thing. I like that. I would like that.
That is a traditional gender.
It is, but
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me because I think that we're reciprocating. We're giving each other something, and it's not like I'm giving more and he's just laying there on the sofa.
Right.
He's working around the house.
In other words, you're looking for a well-rounded man.
I am.
We're gonna move on now to our next spicy dish item. So I would be honest. Are people too careless with oral sex? You see people who they very careful in terms of a condom, right? And you're very careful in terms of a condom. And they would say, they would go and they would have oral sex, and it's like they don't put the same importance on it and understand that things can be contracted that way. So that's what I'm talking about. Do you think that people are too careless with that? Because my way of looking at that is, so you're putting out a condom and all that good stuff, but now you done got down and eat that disease.
But you know what, people, even though, we know that a condom will help to help you to not get certain things, sexually transmitted diseases, I think a lot of people don't think about that when they do oral sex. They feel that you can't catch anything going in your mouth. I mean, the mouth is dirty anyway. Everybody knows it's probably one of the dirtiest parts of your body, because we take in so many things with bacteria. But I don't think anybody ever thinks you can catch something through your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can.
You actually can.
And you can. Just think, if you're trying to protect, if you're putting a glove on, a condom, let me not try to nice that up. You're putting a condom on to have sex. But then when you're having oral sex, there are stuff I understand you can use to prevent your mouth going directly onto somebody's genitalia. But but these are things you need to think about, because you are literally eating a disease. I mean, think about things like the human papillomavirus. So let's say a girl, and this is a disease, by the way, that they say 80% of women would have gotten it, and it cleared out their system and they never know.
It's dark.
Right. So let's say you're a girl or your guy. Let's say your girl has human papillomavirus, and you're giving her oral sex, and she this is going into your mouth. You can also be affected by it. And I think people just think, we just worry about protecting that, putting the condom on. That's not all you got to worry about. That's not all you got to worry about. So I would definitely think people are a little bit too careless with that and not understand that there are diseases that are transmitted through the mouth, through the throat.
You have to be more educated on that.
So you didn't know about having something that
that you could actually use to prevent. And I probably didn't even think about catching that disease. I have to be honest.
Your back of your throat is very receptive. What do you call it? Receptive. I should say receptive. I know my brain is this morning. The back of your throat is very receptive to things like that. Like something like human papillomavirus. So people need to be careful with that. It's not something fluid. Be careful. I mean, in other words, I guess it's common sense. Just make sure that you're not having sex with people you don't know. That you're not taking any kind of chances with somebody that you just met, or And I know for me, when I met my second husband, I made sure that we had tests before, because even though I didn't have any reason to believe that I was in any way infected with anything, how do you really know that? I was married before. You could have something and not even know. Some people find out this stuff. So I felt, since I was asking him to do that, I needed to do that too. And then we were thinking of having a child and all of that too. So we also had to go for tests then as well. So I'm saying, don't do stuff like that with people that you don't know enough. Right. You got to really know what you're getting into. Even if you're married, and let's say your husband might be a flirtatious guy, and you have reason to believe that he's cheating, even if he's your husband, you know what? In the end of my marriage, when I felt that I could not trust that situation, I have my needs now. Don't get me wrong. I got my needs. But I made sure he used a condom. I made sure that he did. I wasn't going to say just because we're married. If I have any suspicion, and I remember one night, I think we both were in the mood. I think we both were hot. And he said, oh, well, let's just do it. And I said, no. And at this phase, this is a phase where you were going to use a condom. And he said, oh, well, I said, listen, you must not want it badly enough, because you are not getting up in here unless you get a condom. He had to get his butt right out the street and go get a condom. And that was my husband, because I felt I did not feel safe.
You did not feel safe.
I felt like the woman has a sixth sense. I felt that he was doing something. And I caught, let's just say we had a suspicion. I had reason to believe there was something going on there. And so my thing was, I got needs. I wasn't going to go and walk out the street and just go with some man. So I'm doing a young woman. I had my needs, but I told him, you got to put a glove on it. And he wanted some one night, and he didn't want to put a glove on it, and I said, you don't get any. So he went out, got that condom, and came right back. Oh my gosh. Okay. Y'all know me. I'm going to tell it like it is.
It is. That's okay.
So that's basically it. Anybody have anything else they want to put to regarding the oral sex and the condoms or protective gear for oral sex? Or?
No, I mean, like you said, there are things out there. The majority of the people, I'd say at least 95% of people do not know that there are ways that you can protect yourself when you're dealing with oral sex. So I think that everybody should find out. Be careful, like you said, when you're dealing with someone that you don't know well, or somebody that you're suspicious of or may not trust. Go out there and get some advice. If you go to a gynecologist as a female or any health care provider, they can tell you, what types of things you can do to protect yourself.
Like some kind of a shield. Yeah.
But who educates the younger? Like my granddaughter's age.
Well, hopefully mom is doing that. Hopefully, because you can't just come on the school. The schools are going to give a kind of generic version of it.
Mom may not know.
I think
I didn't know, and I didn't know until
a lot of parents are scared to bring that subject up with their,
I'll tell you the truth. I was afraid. I was a little nervous, not afraid, but nervous to bring up certain things about Jojo. And so I told my ex-husband, I said, you have to have some conversation. Because I'm a little blushing, kind of blushing too, but I knew the conversation had to be had. You know what I mean? You couldn't just, he's just gonna figure it out, or because they give him a little sex education in school. That's not the same thing.
They need to,
Do you feel that's a gender conversation?
In my opinion, I felt that the father could probably explain certain things, but you know what? It still fell back in my lap a bit because he still was kind of sanitizing it, and I felt like my son needs to know, like. He started to have those little pimples in his face, and we started to talk about wet dreams, getting up in the morning and having a, morning wood, he calls it. He and his little nephew are talking about, they say, we got morning wood, meaning they wake up with an erection. And I said, do you understand that you are going through puberty, and that if you have sex with a girl, that girl can get pregnant? Yeah? I said, there are little 14 and 15-year-old little fathers out there. This has happened. So I still had to explain that. And he, it wasn't comfortable. I'm not going to lie. And that's coming from me.
And I was going to say, coming from you, it's going to take
But it's
me.
my child. You see, it's one thing y'all hear me here talking among adults about stuff, adult stuff. That's my child. And that's an opposite sex child. Like my daughter, I'll give you an idea. I'm kind of diverting a bit, but my daughter and my niece, they were about 15 years of age when I had a very strange conversation with them in my car. I was saying to them, you guys are aware that masturbation is a viable option? And they looked at me, my niece go, Auntie, and my daughter go, Mommy. They're like, I said, I'm not telling you how to masturbate. I'm saying it is a viable option. Because they were at that age where I could tell they started to get interested in boys, and I wanted for them to know that if they should want to know what that feels like, that they have that option of gratifying themselves that way, which is safe, before you're going to give yourself to somebody and put in that kind of a trust in someone. And I didn't have any kind of shyness. And they were in such shock, I had to stop the car because, my God, Mommy, oh my God, Auntie. I said, no, I'm not telling you guys to do it. I'm saying it's an option. There's nothing wrong with it. It's decent, it's clean, it's safe, etc. But when it came to Jojo and it was time for me to have that conversation about the morning thing, that was a hard one. Not gonna lie. We're gonna take a break. We do thank you for putting up with the noise. Our studio is not too far away from Kennedy Airport, so we have a lot of overhead traffic from the planes coming in from this direction. We're gonna hear some traffic on the street and so forth. But that is some of the hazards when you're taping outside. But that's okay. We just ask you to understand the noise. So we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go into our Dear Help Team segment of the program. And what we're going to be talking about is bankruptcy. And we will be right back. I'm Trish.
I'm Amalfi. I'm Irma. And I'm Caroline.
And we are the Caribbean House Talk. Welcome back to Caribbean House Talk, and as you can see, my ladies here, they're all kind of glammed out with their sunglasses and incognito.
Well, Amalfi and I had to get with the two of you. I mean, had your sunglasses
well, our dear Hyacinth is now in glasses because she's about to do some research here for us. She did some research.
I'm about to be sexy.
Yes, a sexy in research.
Sexy
So she's a resident researcher, and basically she's about to help us cover bankruptcy for their help team section. Bankruptcy is something that's really intricate, and we wouldn't be able to do it justice here in a very in-depth way. But what we're figuring is that we could give you the basics and some guidelines, and then we promise on a future show, or perhaps on Caribbean News Class or Social Scrutiny, one of our other QX television programs, we would do something more in-depth. But this hopefully will give you a general idea of the ins and outs of bankruptcy. So dear Hyacinth is always great with researching topics, and so we're going to talk about bankruptcy. Very interesting topic, I think, that can be helpful to a lot of people.
Okay. This is Bankruptcy 101. The question is, how many forms and what are the differences? First, let me tell you that in 2003, I personally filed for bankruptcy. Although at the time I felt like a failure, it worked out very well for me. I persevered, and without regrets. So, since then, the bankruptcy laws have changed. The Bankruptcy Abuse Prevention Act of 2005 took effect on October 17, 2005, and was designed to curb fraud and aid people seeking debt relief. An important change demands that all debtors must get credit counseling before filing and additional debt counseling before debts can be discharged. The counseling agency must be approved by the United States Trustees Offices. There are 4 types of bankruptcies named in the U.S. Bankruptcy Code. The type you file depends on several factors, including whether or not you are an individual or a corporation. The types named are Chapter 7, which is the most popular type of bankruptcy. It's called the Fresh Start Bankruptcy. This is a chance to receive a court judgment that releases you from responsibility for repaying debts. You can keep key assets considered exempt property, but non-exempt property will be sold to repay part of your debt. Examples of exempt property include your home, the car for work, social security checks, and non-exempt includes cash, bank accounts. Chapter 9 applies to cities or towns to protect municipalities.
So wait, just to cut you, not to cut you off, but Chapter 7, you were talking about a person. That one was for person.
Well, yes.
Right,
yes,
it's Chapter 7. Okay, so now
more.
Chapter 9, go ahead.
So in Chapter 9 now, it applies to cities or towns to protect municipalities from creditors while the city develops a plan for handling debts. And we hear of that a lot, in the city, New York City. Then Chapter 11 is designed for businesses, referred to as reorganization bankruptcy, because it gives businesses a chance to stay open while they restructure the business debts and assets in order to pay back creditors. That's the Chapter 11. Chapter 13, which is the last one, that involves repaying some of your debts to have the rest forgiven. This is an option for people who do not want to give up their property or do not qualify for Chapter 7, which is very important because their income is too high. Under 13, you must design a 3 to 5 year repayment plan for your creditors. Once you successfully complete the plan, the remaining debts are erased. But there's an important note that Chapter 7 filing stays on your credit for 10 years, while Chapter 13 stays on for 7 years.
So the chapter 13, from what I'm understanding, that's the one where if you have higher income
Yes.
as an individual,
Yes.
you can apply for
you can-
chapter 13.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you said you have to come up with a payment plan, but you don't repay all of the debt. This is just for some of it,
Some of it.
right?
But it's important to note that if you're going to be filing for bankruptcy, you should get a lawyer.
Okay, thank
You
you.
should have a lawyer.
Okay,
Thank you.
not to cut into it, but I see that Chef Chester has arrived. He's going to get set up while we're over here talking. All right, we'll come to you in a minute, Chef. So that's your table. You do your thing.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank
Okay.
you for coming.
So, oh wow, that's a lot of information.
Yes, and it's vital information because a lot of people don't.
I didn't know. I learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I learned.
So talking is also possible for people with higher income, and that's more like you're doing a safe. Let me see if I understand. So they'll excuse some of your debt, but you have to get a. You're not getting a. It's not a fresh start.
You're not getting
You're not
off
getting a,
like
scot free.
like
Scot
seven.
free, right?
No,
okay.
scot free.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, chapter 7 is just that fresh start.
And which one did you do?
I did chapter 7.
Chapter
I
7.
didn't have much, but I just wanted to clean the slate. I had just gotten a divorce, and I wanted to just start afresh. And I haven't turned back. I've looked back.
As a blessing in disguise for
I
you.
felt good, you know. But those days, it was much easier.
Right.
Now
Since
it's
then, you did
yeah.
yours in 2003, and in 2005 they changed
they
it.
changed the
Changed the
rules.
rules. So if you guys are listening, this is not for I'm going to go out there and abuse it. There are legitimate reasons why people might have to file. But make sure that your reason is a sound one and not just frivolous. You're saying, oh, I don't want to pay my bills.
Right.
But sometimes you get in a situation where it is so overwhelming that you say, you know, the way that I'm going to do this is, like, there's no way out of this. I'm just becoming, it's just too much. Let me try to see, genuinely try to get that noose from around my neck. Then, okay, we do that. All right, so, wow, that's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of
Okay.
information.
So the next thing, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to be going into some tricks and tips section. We have a lot of tricks and tips that people need to know. And the things that are out there that are homeopathic that you could really benefit from in terms of your health, or just little things to know, not just health, but other things. And sometimes it's just knowing them. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go to our tricks and tips section, and we will be right back. Okay. I'm Trish,
I'm announcing.
I'm Irma. And I'm Caroline.
and we are the Caribbean House Talk. Hi, welcome back to Caribbean House Talk, and with us today, I told you guys earlier that we have an amazing chef, Chef Chester, who's going to be joining us and feeding us for the day. And so he is over at his table with a great display. And what is it, Chester, that you have for us today?
Today I have for you, ladies and gentlemen, is some sweet mashed potatoes with some barbecue jerk short ribs and
Oh.
sauteed asparagus.
Sounds
Sounds good. That sounds
Okay.
good. All right. So later on, we're going to be sampling his delectable cuisine, and we will now take you now to our tricks and tips section of the show. And we're going to go to Chef Chester later. I always get a little tongue tied over.
It's actually Chef CC,
Chef CC.
but I'll let you just say it. 'cause
Okay, Chef Chester, Chef CC. Okay, that's a little less tongue-tied. Okay, in our tricks and tips section, we're going to look at a couple of household items that people can use for different things. For instance, nail polish remover. How many people know that if you mix this with a little bit of water, make sure it's strong, but you do dilute it with a little bit of water, you can use it to clean your sneakers. You know when you have those sneakers that have like a lot of white in them? Like my son had a very expensive pair of sneakers at one point, and it had a lot of white on the bottom and the lower portion of it. and it was really nice and expensive sneakers, but it started to look a little dingy. So we took some nail polish remover, we put in a little bit of water, and we rubbed it out, and it came out almost looking brand new. I heard also that
I'm sorry. That's all you're talking about. Just that the leather part.
the leather
So
part,
this would work for the leather.
for the
of
leather part,
A leather type
that's right.
sneaker,
That's right.
not cloth.
Right, not cloth. And also, I'm hearing that toothpaste also can do that. Can help you to clean sneakers, the leather portion of sneakers. Now, toothpaste also have another like a medicinal thing
Yeah,
here.
actually, the toothpaste trick. 'Cause I got a pimple this week, and the toothpaste trick I kind of heard from America's Top Model, Tyra Banks. She said that what a lot of models do when they have a pimple is they put toothpaste on it, and the active ingredients of the toothpaste helps the pimple to dry up a lot quicker. So you can put it on if you're not out and about all day. You might want to wear it, but I would put it on at night because then you know you can sleep with it and not have to worry about scaring anybody.
Because toothpaste has menthol
Right.
in it.
And it dries
It's
out
called
the pimple.
eugenol.
So it doesn't
Any
matter which
toothpaste.
toothpaste. Okay.
Any toothpaste will do.
Okay. All right. So, wow, that's interesting. Now, the next little item I have here, and this is not the color you would use, but you could get nail polish remover to stop a run in pantyhoses. So if you have pantyhose, you get the natural color,
Yes.
clear nail polish, and you put that right about when you see a strip, a little run
yes.
start happening, and it will not go any further. Okay, I was looking for a natural color. I didn't have any, but
But
you
you
can-
know, I'm sorry, Trish. I'm going to interrupt though. Even though this is a red, okay, you don't really want to use this, but many times runs start at the top when
Right.
you know, where you can't see it. And so most women will have any color
Nail
any
polish.
color nail polish. They may have a red or a blue, whatever they're wearing that day. So if you don't have a clear, any nail polish will do if it's something that's hidden, if the run is way at the top of your thigh and you don't want it to come down where people will see it. So
Okay.
yeah, use what you got.
But there's-
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be. If it's somewhere where it's more visible, yes.
Right.
But there's another tip which is not there. But when you buy your pantyhose, put them in the freezer.
Oh.
Keep them in the freezer overnight.
Oh.
Next day you shake them out, and it lasts longer.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes.
Ooh. I did not know that.
So you don't have to.
sounds a little sexy.
Yeah, that's what I
Nice
do.
chill.
Oh, so put your just
Wow,
how to
I didn't know
I never
that.
had that. I've never heard that
I love
one.
that.
Wonderful. Okay, so those are some of the
Try that one.
little tricks and tips that we have for you in our little bag of tricks. Now we're going to go over to Chef Chester, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the dish that he prepared for us, and then he's going to set up, and we're going to eat and really tell you what that dish tastes like. So I'm going to walk over here. All right. I'm Trish.
I'm a mountain.
I'm Irma. And I'm Caroline.
And we are the Caribbean House Club. So we're over here with Chef Cece, or I call him Chef Chester, but that's a bit of a tongue twister. All right, so he is cooking for us today, and I'm going to fortify us with some of his delectable cuisine. So you were saying before, when we broke away to you for briefly, you had for us barbecue short ribs.
Jerk barbecue. short
Jerk.
ribs.
Ooh,
Yes.
jerk. Oh,
Yes.
okay. And asparagus and mashed potato, sweet potatoes.
Yeah, sweet potato mash.
Okay. Now, for those of you who, you probably see him on Facebook, you might even be following him already. Chef CC is a chef out here in the Long Island area. He is known for his really artistic approach towards cooking. Like, I always try to tell people there is a difference between being a chef and being a cook. I'm a good cook. I'm not a chef. The chef not just care about just the taste,
Right.
the display of it, the artistic arrangement of it, if
Yes.
you will. So he's known for that on Facebook. He come up with every day we like, okay, what are we going to see today? And there's always something that's really, really delicious. So we're going to be showing some pictures of some of his different dishes that he does. So So this one is jerk barbecue short ribs
Yes.
with mashed sweet potato and asparagus.
Yes.
And we're going to be fed with this later on?
Yes.
You brought enough, not just this plate?
No, I got more
Okay.
than enough.
Okay, all right. Break out the bubbly, break out the bubbly. So chef, tell us a little bit about this dish and how you prepared it.
All right, so we're gonna start with the sweet potato mash. So pretty much you just peel off the yams, you boil them.
And yams, by the way, for us in the Caribbean, is just the orange sweet potato. But in America, they say yams.
Yes.
So for you Caribbean people who are watching, yams are the same. It's the same thing as the orange sweet potato that we get in the Caribbean. I just want to make that distinction.
Yes. So what I have is, so once you peel off the, we peel off the skin, you boil them for about maybe 25, 30 minutes, depending on the size of the yam. Once that's done, you mash them up, and then the secret to it to get the flavor is I put salted butter, which is melted, 1 stick of that, and then we do a little bit of nutmeg, then I do some cinnamon. So that gives it the flavor that you're looking for, because some of the sweet potato yam, they kind of bland. So then we have the sauteed asparagus. Pretty much that's just self-explanatory. I just use some minced garlic and some olive oil in the pan. And some people, they like it al dente, depending on how,
What's al dente? That's chef
not
talk.
cooked.
I don't know.
It's like, asparagus, how it comes, you see it, like it has that nice green color. So you pretty much just cook it just so it's warm and it has like a little crunch to it. Like not too cooked. Like this one I cook this down a little bit more just in case, because some people don't like it like that. They like their vegetables cooked down a little, better. So with the short ribs down is, basic, I do my jerk seasoning in the jar, then I use some regular seasoned salt, Larry's, use sazon, I use some garlic powder, some onion powder. I usually saute it down with some bell peppers and onions. And then I mix the juices. So like when I bake it for about 2.5 hours, once I take it out the oven, it's basically like it has its own like juice. So I take that juice and I mix it with the barbecue sauce because it has that jerk flavor. So that way you get that extra kick of the jerk. And I simmer it sometime on top of the stove top. And then I just glaze it with I just glaze the sauce on top of the ribs and then.
And what temperature do you recommend?
The temperature, it depends on your time frame. Most of the time, you could put the temperature on 375. If you're in a hurry, you do 400, and then you still cook it for about 2.5 hours because you want it falling off the bone. You want it nice and tender.
So you're covering it.
Yeah, you keep it covered. Most times when you do the beginning of the cooking process, it's covered through the whole process. The only time I uncover it is when I broil it after I put the barbecue sauce on it and everything like that, because you want to broil it and get that that barbecue flavor and that barbecue really disseminate inside the meat.
Do you believe on the idea that the lower the heat, the more tender the meat becomes?
If you cook it lower, it's just going to cook longer. So even if you put it on 250 or 275, it's going to take longer. So like I said, you won't go wrong with 2.5 hours tops, 400, even 375.
Okay.
But 400 because sometimes depending on the cut of the meat. So I would just roughly say do 400.
And so that, oh my gosh, so that's what we have here today. Whew, we got a full meal.
Can I ask one other question?
Yes.
So when you're cooking the meat, do you put water, like a little water in a pan, or just the meat?
No,
Cover.
no. I just use, because sometimes when I season it, I have some little marinade that usually like when you create in the seasoning mixture, it has its own marinade. So I just leave that. You could put like a little, like maybe half a cup of water in it, but it makes its own juice because once you cover it and then after it cooks for about 2 hours, you're gonna have a lot of juice. Yeah.
And these are beef ribs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to talk about some of the other things that I've seen you online with some amazing dishes. Oh my God, you had a lobster dish one day this week with something lobster.
Stuffed lobster.
Stuffed lobster, yes.
Oh, that was the stuffed lobster mac and cheese. Yeah.
So you do catering, and for those people who want to know how to get your food or how to order from you, and I can't wait till the restaurant gets hooked up. I'll be spending a lot of money dining there. But for those people who want to know how to order stuff from you, give them your phone number and your email address.
Well, the phone number is 516-289-1417, and then my email is.
Say that again slowly. It's on the screen below.
My phone number is 516-289-1417, and then my email is walkerchester7@gmail.com.
So WALKERCHESTER.
The number 7.
The number 7, and then at gmail.com. And you can see that on the screen below.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
Were you trained in the United States?
No, I just trained. Yeah, I trained myself. I just look up stuff.
okay.
I mean, I knew the basis of cooking. Then I just started really getting into it, like looking at cooking shows.
So you're self-taught?
Yes.
And I give you a lot of credit because a lot of what you do, like what we see online that you do, that would be something you think somebody came out of some big culinary school. And
Could
it's
we
not.
put that in the pressure cooker?
Yeah, you can put this in the pressure cooker. You can still cook it slow. Some people do it high, but like if you want to, like for instance, if you're going to church or something like that, you want to put it on low. By the time you come back, it'll be ready. Or most of the time when I do the other braised ribs, I do braised ribs and I put them in the pot on top of the stove top, and you can cook it down like that too, like people do oxtails. But with that, it's a whole nother seasoning, like you do the oxtail seasoning and things like that.
So did you start cooking for your family?
Yes, it
That's
started
how
when I
you-
have children. Yes. I started cooking for the family when I got married in 2005. So I wanted to kind of be a supporting husband. So you
Oh,
step
that's
up to the
nice.
plate and cook. So then once I got better at it, I don't know, for some reason it was like therapy. I'm just in the
It was
kitchen. I
therapy.
have music going. I got the kids running around screaming, "Daddy, can I do this?" So it was like I kind of just gravitated to it even more.
And you offer catering services? Is it just in Long Island or
No.
you go anywhere?
I go anywhere.
Okay.
I do brunches in the city in the summer. This is the season where we do brunches in the city. And like I said, anytime somebody want me, I went to Atlanta not too long ago. Somebody had like a fundraiser for breast cancer. So I'll go anywhere.
Ooh, anyway. Wonderful. So, oh my gosh. So we're gonna show some of the pictures, some of the dishes and their names and so forth. So you're going to, now let's tell the audience that we are looking to get you your own show on Lick My Pot. So we wanted to bring you on here and introduce you to the group. You can also follow you on QXTV. We have a group on Facebook, and you can follow us on that because you have a lot of your stuff. And this is a hazard of film and outdoors, but we have to take some of it with the good. So we're gonna have you on Lick My Pot, and you're gonna be giving us some of those dishes that you're putting on Facebook. So
Yes.
I can get to sample it because I'll be there, my camera people taping. All right, so we're now sampling.
Oh my God, this is delicious.
Oh my God. Oh wait, I had them bring me
I'm in heaven.
Oh, cameraman is over there salivating.
He's hungry.
Yeah, I got you covered.
Oh my God.
So you can tell them about the
What's
fish,
in your
right?
potato?
Oh, you have the butter and all.
What's in the potato?
Salted butter,
Just salted.
nutmeg, and cinnamon.
No sugar?
No.
Brown sugar, a little bit. Little brown sugar. Pinch.
It's great.
Good.
Thank you.
And that sugar is sweet. It's good.
Yeah, some people like it real sweet, like my mother. She makes it real sweet. I'm like,
Cameraman is not even shooting anymore.
No.
He's just letting the camera
He's
running.
letting the I'm getting. Thank you. Thank
Oh my
you
God.
very so
You're
much.
welcome.
Stopping
You're
by
welcome.
Chef Chester.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for
You're
having
going
me.
to be very successful. This
Yes,
is very
thank
good.
you.
This
Thank
is
you.
delicious.
Welcome back to Caribbean House Talk, and this episode, the final episode of Caribbean House Talk, part 1. We have a part 2 coming up for you, but as you know, all good things must come to an end, so we're not totally at the end yet. We are at the end of part 1, and we're going to come right back with part 2. We always aim to bring you the issues from funny to curious and even tearfully serious. So we're going to end part 1 and stay tuned for part 2. We can hear the planes overhead. We'll be right back with part 2.